Hello, YouTube. You know him.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm just doing a quick little demo now to show how I carved this stone. So this is a done piece. Because we're using scraps this year, I have to fill in some holes with just random chunks. I've got about 16 inches of space up there that I've got to fill. 16 inches by 4 feet or so that I'm just going to piece together, which this technique actually works really well for because you don't really notice it, hopefully. So I'm going to hand the camera over to Joe because this is a little hard to do one-handed. Okay, so for this, you saw how I did the white foam. It was really kind of haphazard, and I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into the shapes and stuff like that. To get this, I actually go through and measure. And get straight lines so that I can get a little bit more crispness. So I'll go through, and still I'm going for the same kind of shapes, but just a little bit more geometrical. I don't know what the word is. So yeah, again, I'll use my soldering iron. This thing is magic. And for this, rather than just kind of going through and carving freeform, I'll actually use my straight edge to get my shapes. Because it's really hard. I tried it a couple years ago to get straight lines. I drew them all out, and then I thought, oh, I can totally do these straight lines with just the soldering iron. It's not that easy. So I go through, hit all of my edges, and again, I said it in another video, don't try to use your level for this because you will melt it. So I just kind of find a scrap piece of wood because I know it's going to get gross and foam gooey's on it.
Did you melt my level?
No. There's someone else's level.
Okay.
I didn't know. I stopped before I did any damage. I can't see. I can't even tell where I did it. Therefore, okay, yeah, you can kind of see the little lines there.
Oh yeah. She's
yeah.
Melting my freaking levels.
Well, it's still levels.
Okay.
Okay. It does its job.
This is what it's like being married to Nikki.
Yeah, it's horrible. Actually, it's mostly just being hopped up on fucking foam fumes. That's what it's like being married to me. So yeah, you get the gist. This is not that complicated.
How deep are you going there?
It all depends on what foam I'm using. You can see I'm going up to like about there on it because I'm working with 1-inch thick foam. So I don't want to go too deep. With the white foam, because it was 2-inch thick, I could go a lot further in. Can you get out of my way now?
Sorry.
I'm trying to work.
I'm doing artistic shots.
This isn't about art. It's about scaring people. Okay, so that's how I do the basic form, and you can see I've been working on this piece. Was actually an extra on top of another chunk that I had carved, and we didn't have room for it at the top, so I just went ahead and chopped it off, and we'll use it here. And come back in a few, and I'll show you how I do the rest of the texture. Okay, so we just got all of our lines carved. Now we're gonna go for kind of this textured feel. So this is my Hot Wire Foam Factory tool. Love these things. I need some new ones. I've actually started to heat fracture the metal there. I've also been using them for the entire time we've been haunting, and these are the consumer grade ones, so these are just meant to be, you know, little craft ones, and I've put them through the ringer. They do have some more pro tools that if anybody wants to get me for Christmas,
There we go.
I'd be happy to have them. Anyway, so we're gonna take this, and my first step is to kind of just take the edge off of. So I'll go along each one. This is kind of a really boring process. Doing that big sheet was like painfully boring. So yeah, you get kind of the feel there. You get this nice edge, and then do the same thing kind of all the way around. I came up with an excellent lazy day version of doing this, where you get a 2 for going. But I don't like the way this looks as much, but when I'm tired enough of doing this, I don't even care. See, it just has a different look. It gives it more of like a arc. But when I lose enough patience, chances are the people that walk through here are not gonna notice the difference, so. I'll go this side, like so. And then I'll just come back in and give a few like smaller scoops. Just to make it look like it's not one uniform cut. And you can do some fun stuff with this, because if you just kind of drag it along the top, it'll give you cool texture. And this is kind of a fun one to do, because I've got paint on here, so you can actually see exactly where I've carved and where I haven't. So yeah, that's pretty much the process here. And then occasionally I'll do like a scoop out of the middle just to get a little damage going on there. And then the next step after this is the spray painting part, which I also did a video of that, so I'm sure Joe and the magic of editing will insert that after this, or we'll just do another video that shows painting techniques. But yeah, the spray paint after the fact helps to give you just another level of texture, because it's hard to get texture on all of this really smooth stuff without something like the spray paint.
And be prepared for your garage to look like this.
That's Joe's favorite part of Halloween.
Look at all that goddamn garbage. Jesus.
This is why I'm not allowed to use the white foam very often, which
Yeah.
I've been doing really good. This year I've been carving over the trash can, so I'm not nearly as messy. But the white foam is really messy. The pink foam is too, but they're bigger pieces, so it's a little easier to clean up, but
That's what you'll have to work
I
with.
think Joe's just a whiner.
Look at that mess.
And he's perfectly okay with it when it's his mess.
Well.
Uh-huh. If he makes the mess, then it's an acceptable mess. If I make the mess, well, then it's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Because this garage has been a mess all year. You know who hasn't complained? The guy holding the camera.
Well, I haven't complained because I don't live here. You have to talk to Joe.
Wait a minute. Who the hell are you?
I'm Tori, the camera guy.
Tori.
Joe hired me on Craigslist.
Joe's busy drinking.
Joe's been drinking beer all day.
He's got a pint in the next room.
I do. I mean, Joe does.
Joe,
Quite right.
Suspect. Alright, so now you see kind of how I get the texture. Nothing too complicated. Definitely easier to do with one of the hot wire foam factory tools, that's for sure. I'm not quite sure how I would do this without it. I have also found in the past year or so that it is so much easier to make big cuts with this pink foam with a steak knife. I used to do it with just a hot, what are those things called? The
Hot knife.
A big hot knife.
Big old industrial foam hot knife.
And it works great, but it takes about 1/4 inch of foam out of the equation because it melts such a big chunk. And it takes a wee bit of time. So using the steak knife, except that Joe then yells at me because I steal steak knives from the kitchen.
It's never easy, y'all.
No. The struggle is real, my friends. It is real.
So as you can tell, we're doing this in a well-ventilated area. Do you see all the smoke going? We've got the garage door open and our back door open. So there's a lovely breeze. Definitely recommended because it smokes.
Yeah, don't try to do this inside. It smells awful. Like, for pretty much the whole month of October, I have this stink like stuck in my nose. That and a little bit of spray paint. It's delightful.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah, you did. Joe yells at me when I use staples on stuff in the haunt.
Yeah, because people can put their hand through them. It's a safety issue.
But he goes through and anything that's not black gets spray painted.
Yeah.
Like we go through like 8 cans of spray paint. He even spray painted our electrical outlet the other day. I came home and our electrical outlets have been spray painted.
Yep. Because they were white.
Which
And
never even gets seen, but...
Now they really won't.
Except for the horrible paint job. Married life. Alright, so that's how we carve the, what is this even called?
the hell,
Stacked
right?
stone, I guess, would be what it's called. Oh, whoop, there goes the stone wall.
The wind hath picked up.
That's the really annoying thing about October in Iowa. Wind. It's like it waits until, it's like it watches. It's like, oh, Nikki and Joe are haunting. Better start with some 50-mile-an-hour freaking gusts. Because they love it.